of life continues beyond inception and birth. And each new day, the wonder of our creation is seen as the human body works at restoration healing. Go with us on a journey of discovery. Learn how you can enjoy an abundant life, living in harmony with the divine laws of nature and healing. Join Danny Vieira and Junie Lawson in Adventures in Health. This week's presentation is titled Juicing with Live Foods.
Welcome to Adventures in Health. I'm Junie Lawson with White Horse Media, and this is my good friend Danny Vieira. He's the director of Modern Manna Ministries and the Bella Vita Lifestyle Center. Danny, in the last two programs, we've talked quite a bit about toxicity and cleansing. Now, in this program, we're going to talk about regeneration and rebuilding of the body. Where do we begin with that?
Well, I think that, this is a great subject. I love talking about cleansing, Junie, and I love talking about rebuilding and regenerating the body. And, at Bella Vita Lifestyle Center, when we get people in there, it's always encouraging to see that within a few days, they begin to change. Their faces change. They get more energy. They come in, they're a little quiet at the table. Then within a few days, they're all talking. Their energy levels up. They're walking more. They have, they spend more time in our fitness center. But I always tell people, the best place to start is in Genesis.
Okay.
Okay, we go right to the Bible. Yeah. And I want to look up Genesis 1:29.
Okay.
And let's just set the stage here a little bit that, in the creation week, and I just studied something, let me say to you, share this with you. It was an old health book that was given to me by a friend. And it was talking about the sequence in which God created. That before he could make the plants, he had to make the water, and he had to make the light, and he had to have the air.
Sure.
Because the plant required those nutrients and the substances from those elements that to build and to survive. Then he made man after that. So in other words, we need the oxygen, we need the water, we need the sunlight, and we need to get nutrition. But the nutrition that God has given us, we don't go eat from the soil. We need to eat the plants. Mm-hmm. And so through the enzyme process in the plants, they can take the minerals from the soil. They build it into their own structure. And then when we eat the plant, we're getting those minerals where the body can utilize them, digest them, and regenerate.
Exactly.
So God had a sequence in his plan of creation that tells me that the first things that he made were necessary for our survival. So at this time when he made man, what does he do? Look at what it says here in verse 29 of Genesis chapter 1. And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, and the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for
food.
Meat. Mm-hmm. Food. One version says food, one version says meat. So the creator of the universe provides a diet for his creation. Okay, and I always say this to people, do we feed ground round to goldfish? Or you think of the giraffe and you're giving them chicken and fish? No, you don't. And so the God of the universe who created us provided a plant-based diet. And as I look in Eden, there was no fire, there was no cooking. I mean, in this state, it was organic, it was raw, it was living food, and it was packed with vitamins, minerals, fiber, water, nutrition, that's beyond anything we'd ever see today. And it has what I call a life force in there too, that God gave life to plants, and when we eat these plants, we're getting electrical charge because God put charge into these plants. I gave a presentation once and I was showing, a potato, and I took two probes, stuck it in the potato, and a light bulb went on. I was given a clock that ran on a potato or an apple. Why? Because of electrolytes, sodium, potassium. These things are electrolytes. They can produce electricity, and you light a light bulb. So I think the best diet to start with is the one that God gave in Eden.
Sounds good to me. There's another story in the Bible about King Nebuchadnezzar.
Yes.
And we find that one in Daniel chapter 4. Mm-hmm. Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king of Babylon, became a very proud man. And God gave a dream to Daniel.
Yes.
And he shared that dream with Nebuchadnezzar. And in essence, the last part of the vision or dream that Daniel had, it was talking about Nebuchadnezzar and said, let his portion be with the beasts of the field till 7 times or years
There's
pass
that
over
7
him.
again, right?
Yeah, there's the 7. And then after Daniel had told this to Nebuchadnezzar, he continued on, and the Bible says in verse 29, at the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon, and he looked out and he said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for my house of the kingdom by the might of my power and the honor of my majesty?
Some pride.
A lot of pride. And it says, while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee. And here's the main point. And they shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make you eat grass as oxen till 7 times or years pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomsoever he will. And it says the same thing, that same hour, this was fulfilled. So Nebuchadnezzar went out into the field as though he were a wild beast and began to eat grass.
Which was originally for the animals, for the cattle.
Right. So
Powerful.
You know, a couple of questions come to my mind. I mean, how is it possible that, I mean, other than it was God ordained,
Yes.
that Nebuchadnezzar survived on grass all that time? And what kind of application would you make for us in our health?
I did a presentation once, and I think it's in one of our shows. It's being offered, but it was called Nebuchadnezzar's Detox Program.
Oh, okay.
So we know that greens are cleansers, and there's wheatgrass and there's barley grass. So I just put an application together that I said here, he went out and ate wheatgrass for 7 years. Let's just use that as an illustration. Or barley grass. They're very similar in their nutritional makeup, wheatgrass and barley grass. But I put down here that these green grasses are one of the richest sources of vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, and they're very rich in minerals, especially calcium and potassium, etc. And it says that it can be used by the body, these grasses, as cleansers, rebuilders, neutralizers of toxins, even protect us from radiation. And according to Ann Wigmore, she wrote a book, Be Your Own Doctor, and she started this Hippocrates Institute with lots of wheatgrass that people were consuming. She said 1 pound of wheatgrass is equal in nutritional value to nearly 25 pounds of the choicest vegetables. It says she also reported that wheatgrass helps to eliminate cancerous growth, helps with many other disorders, including Nebuchadnezzar, mental disorders. It's very effective in reversing anemia because it's rich in chlorophyll, concentrated sun power. It's one of the greatest healers for conditions inside and outside of the body. It's a blood purifier, a blood builder, increases the red cell count, purifies the liver, improves blood sugar problems, and helps sores heal faster. And it acts like a detergent to the bloodstream. So wheatgrass is a strong detergent. In fact, how many people out there have drank wheatgrass juice? It's very popular at the Jamba Juices and everything. You see the beautiful green grass growing. Well, it has nutritional value. Now there's an argument, well, you don't have, the 3 stomachs or whatever of the cow, and so you can't handle the grass. True, but the juice we can.
I see.
All right, so maybe he was chewing it and spitting it out. Who knows?
So you're not recommending we go out and graze on the grass, but maybe some of the juices.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm advocating the juice from the grass is beneficial. It's very healing. It's used medicinally, and I think it can sustain life, okay? So with God's miraculous power and with the nutrient content, barley grass, for instance, 45% of the calories are from protein, 90% that's very usable by the human body. So don't think that grass or the juice of grass is deficient in amino acids, the building blocks of protein. That's why a cow can put on flesh and bone by eating grass. Fair enough?
Yeah.
So the plant kingdom contains a lot of healing properties. And one of them, like I said, chlorophyll is like a twin sister to hemoglobin. And I want to read you a powerful statement here. Here's a little paper I put together called Think Green, Organic, and Raw. And here's what it says. Dr. Yoshide Hagiwara, MD, scientist, inventor, and founder of a product that we were talking about at the time, barley green. It says the cells of the human body are much like those of green leaves. For example, the comparison of electrolyte minerals is much the same for both. My interest in this comparison focuses on the extraordinary similarity between chlorophyll in green leaves and human blood. In chemical structure, chlorophyll and blood would appear to be twins. The only difference is that chlorophyll contains magnesium bonded in its structure, whereas hemoglobin contains iron. We may well say that the fluid in green leaves is the blood of the grasses and trees. Conversely, I venture to maintain that the green blood can become red blood in man. And it's true. I get people that come that are anemic, and I tell them drink more greens, more wheatgrass, eat more green foods, and it's a blood builder.
Now, I have a question, and I think I've had people ask this, and maybe some of our viewers wonder too. Why juice? Can't we just get all the nutrients we need by eating the vegetables?
Well, sad to say, I've heard this expression that the earth is being raped. And they're draining the earth of the minerals by the not letting the soil rest and all the chemicals and the pesticides, the artificial fertilizers. They add 3 minerals back while they strip out 60, 70 minerals. So the quality of our food today, I believe, is lacking in its nutritional content. So when you take juice, here's the beauty of juice. Say that at a meal you're going to eat a few pieces of a carrot. Well, like Bella Vita, we give them 7, 8 juices in a day. And each juice may contain 5 carrots. It may be a half a head of parsley. It can have 3 celery stalks in it. It can have 3 leaves of chard. And this is a very powerful, concentrated, super supply of nutrients necessary to rebuild and regenerate the body. So juice is concentrated food, and it's a very easily assimilable way of delivery of nutrition to the body. You don't have to chew it, you don't have to separate juice from fiber. It's in liquid form already. It's going to require some digestion, but far less.
So if I really wanted to improve my health, strengthen my immune system by juicing, there wouldn't be any way that I could possibly eat in a day as many vegetables and nutrients as you put into the juice.
It's like, again, 1 pound of wheatgrass is equal to the nutritional value of 25 pounds of the choicest vegetables. Yes, that's exactly right. That you want to give the body this concentration, and you can't get it from just trying to eat that much produce in a day or two.
But you're not talking about just juicing. You're not talking about only juicing.
No, however, there are times where people benefit from a short juice fast.
Okay.
When people come to Bella Vita Lifestyle Center, the first 5 days is a lot of cleansing products, a lot of herbs, and also juices. Nobody's hungry because they're packed with fiber and they're getting the nutrition. And you should see my juice bill. My produce bill. I spend over $1,000 in produce for 7 people. And you would either get, it's 8 bags of carrots, 25 pounds each, and apples will cost me $90 a box, and I go get 7 boxes because I'm really trying to get the best quality food for our people. So a short-term fast is no problem at all for people, because you are not cutting off nutrition, you're not cutting out calories, you're basically giving them liquid food for a time when their body's trying to repair and heal. And many people that are impaired or sick, they have, let's say, impaired digestive systems. So this is a great delivery of nutrition and phytochemicals to their bloodstream.
I've done a short juice fast, 2, maybe 3 days, and I felt really good. How about you? How long have you fasted? Juice fast?
21 days.
That's a long
21
time,
days,
Danny.
and it was a long time, but I've been in health and nutrition for 25 years, and I'm not telling everybody out there to go do a 21-day juice fast. I did do a radio show with a medical doctor who runs a fasting clinic, only water. Now, when you do water only, your potassium stores can go down. You have to be careful what's going on, and physicians to monitor it, okay?
Don't go away. We'll be right back. If you'd like to learn how to incorporate more delicious raw foods in your diet, the book, The Raw Gourmet, is an awesome book on the subject. Order your copy for only $24.95 plus shipping and handling.
To order, call 1-800-655-3228. That's 1-800-655-3228. Ask for offer 107 when you write or call, or write to Modern Manna Ministries, 519 South Central Avenue, Lodi, California, 95240.
The author of Rawsome Recipes demonstrates how to make many of her favorite dishes in the DVD Incredible Raw Food Demo. Order both the book Rawsome Recipes and the DVD Incredible Raw Food Demo together for only $39.95. To receive this special offer, call 1-800-655-3228. Ask for offer 207 when you write or call, or write to Modern Manna Ministries, 519 South Central Avenue, Lodi, California, 95240.
Now back to Adventures in Health.
Now, when you do water only, your potassium stores can go down. You have to be careful what's going on and physicians to monitor it, okay? Diabetics may need to, check their blood sugar while they're doing this. And on a supervised fast, water fast with medical doctors, you know what he said that was profound? He said a healthy body has enough nutritive reserves for a 40-day water fast. And is that biblical?
Well, yes, it is biblical.
It is biblical. So 21 days on juice, I ate more produce than the average person. I just drank it. But what I found was this, that in the first 10 days, I craved citrus. And for me, and I'm not advising everyone to go do this, this is what I did at one time in my life, and I'll be 55 years old, and I knew what I was doing. And so I took citrus only, and I had pink grapefruits and tangerines and mangoes and oranges. I couldn't get enough. My body was craving it. For 10 days I did just citrus. Then I began to crave the vegetables because I needed more protein. So I started getting, you should see my counter when I juice. But I was taking juice, and it wasn't once a day. And it's not, you don't want to oversaturate the body, like I'm going to drink 32 ounces at once. I tell people 10, 12 ounces at a time. Even the very sick, 8 ounces at a time, and consistently. So I drank, and by day 21, my body was crying for food, and I broke my fast. But I felt wonderful. I felt, and your appetite shuts down. On like day 4 or day 7, I noticed I didn't crave food anymore. So the body will go into a protein-sparing effect. Should you exercise while you're doing this? When I juice fast, I find there are times I can exercise. Water fast, no way.
I see. Well, when you're taking in the juice, you're still getting nutrients.
You're not.
And it's not like you're not
fasting.
eating. Yeah,
you are juice fasting.
Yeah,
there's a big
Now,
difference.
you mentioned, we talked for a brief moment about fasting in the Bible. And what about fasting in particular, where the Bible is concerned, would be beneficial to us?
Anytime I want it, I got spiritual warfare going around me. I need the clearest mind possible. I find personally, when I do a juice fast, my mind begins to really clear, because not all the energy is going for digestion anymore. So your mind really becomes clear, and your stomach may be growling. But I find my prayer life, my connection to God, hearing His voice, seems to be enhanced by it all.
A lot of people wonder about that. They don't, I think, really understand what is the purpose of fasting and why. But it does certainly give clearness to your mind. And I also know that if you go out and you have a heavy meal, it
bogs you down.
Yeah, it bogs you down. It makes you really tired, and you can't think as clearly.
Well, what's interesting here, I think, Junie, is if we look at other benefits of organic juices, and I don't want to just focus this whole show on organic juices. We also do a lot of wonderful recipes, at Bella Vita, but we do all living food at that time. I'm not raw food only.
Okay.
I know many people are. I've had people demonstrate our health and healing crusades on raw food preparations, and I think there's great value in raw foods, but I do a blend of cooked foods. I love cooked foods. I like my lasagnas, and I like my pasta. I'm Italian, but I advocate a lot of living foods. So a good book, and we'll do an offer at the end of the show in regards to this, but this was one lady who teaches Rawsome recipes. They're Rawsome. They're not
Some
all
raw.
raw, okay?
Some raw,
but
and
she
some
has
not.
some wonderful things in here, and she also talks about the benefits of certain foods and their nutritional content, juices, powerful juices in here. But this is a wonderfully laid out book that will show people how they can get later. But we do all living food at Bella Vita. In fact, my chef, who comes and does live food demos. She put out a book called The Maui Vegetarian, and this is an awesome little book, and she presents beautiful living things because we want to recharge the patients, our guests.
Sure.
We want to recharge them, and knowing there's electrical charge in living food, you know, then I feel it's a great blessing to people when they're trying to rebuild their electrical charge.
Definitely. So she actually does some demonstrations when
A couple
you have
times, 2 to 3 times while she's there, she does that. And, you know, we'll take the pulp from the Champion juicer and we'll make mock salmon out of it. It's delicious. You know, there's a mac cream they'll use from macadamia nuts. They'll chop up celery and onions and mix it, and we'll make flaxseed crackers that are cooked in a dehydrator at maybe 95 degrees overnight, so they're still living. I can plant the crackers we're going to eat and they'll grow. So the mock salmon living on the living crackers to build the living body. And so it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's exciting. You know, Charles and I started juicing a number of years ago, I don't know, 10, maybe 15 years ago, and just maybe the last 7 years we've been consistent with juicing. We started out with maybe carrot and apple, something kind of sweet and kind of simple. And gradually, as I was looking into how to be healthier, I realized I needed to get more green vegetables for the alkaline.
Yes.
And I had too much acid. And so I started including the green things in my drink. And he looked at that green drink and he said, I'll never drink that. But you know what? It's interesting. He eventually started trying a little green, a little green. Now his glass has, his juice is just as green as mine.
Wow.
But we love it, and it's become something that we enjoy. It's
a good way of life. I think it's a great tool to have in the kitchen. I always tell people in natural healing and running a wellness center, there's 2 machines that I absolutely need. We have a Green Star juicer and we have a Vitamix, and we use these things all the time. And the Vitamix is a high-powered blender. It works very efficiently with a variable speed. And then the juicer we choose to use is a Green Star, which has 2 steel gears that actually press the juice. It's not tertulating and chopping it up or spinning, it's pressing. So what I always say is you get the deep minerals when you use these pressing techniques. And if you take some juicers, the pulp's wet. If you take this one, the pulp's dry. So we know all the deep minerals people are getting into their body. So we'll use a Green Star. I have a Champion. I own a health food store.
Yeah, we have a Champion too. That's what we started out with. And then the Juice Man. And then the one we have now is a Twin Health juicer. And we like that because it has the gears.
Very
similar. It has the gears and it presses rather than spinning. And so you can get more juice,
yes, you do.
And more benefit out of it. We don't juice all the time,
right?
But most days of the week we juice for breakfast, and we feel good.
Oh yeah,
and we feel energized.
I didn't plan on saying this show, but I do a breakfast drink on Tuesday morning at Bella Vita, and I have almonds and pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds, and I'll sit there and I'll have kiwi and strawberries and all these different fruits, and then I'll take one product we have with 13 superfoods in it, and then flaxseed oil, and I mix it all in a blender with organic apple juice, and that's the meal. And it does give you an electrical charge. Let's talk just briefly about some of the benefits from living organic juices here. They're rich in vitamins, trace elements, enzymes, life force. 100% of the vital nutrients are assimilated into the bloodstream and cells without putting strain on the digestive system. Speeds the body's recovery from disease through rejuvenation. They're alkaline foods, since over-acidity is a problem in America today. Generous amounts of minerals like potassium, calcium, silicon, easy to be assimilated, restoring mineral balance in the cells. Your raw juices contain nature's medicines, phytochemicals, hormones, and antibiotics. String beans and Jerusalem artichokes contain insulin-like substances for diabetes.
Really?
Cucumbers and onions contain hormone-like substances needed by the cells of the pancreas in order to produce insulin. And garlic, onion, and radish contain natural antibiotics. Even the coloring of the plants, the yellows, the reds, the greens, the blues, contain phytochemicals that prevent and fight cancer. Apples contain pectin, sweep heavy metals out of the body. Beets are restorative to the liver. They cleanse and build the blood. Cabbage is rich in vitamin C and purifying sulfur and vitamin U for stomach ulcers. Celery helps the nerves. It's high in sodium. It can put the fire out with indigestion. Dandelion builds the liver. Kale's rich in calcium. And parsley's a natural diuretic and a blood cleanser. Isn't that awesome?
It's awesome, and there are books out.
Oh,
There
yes.
Little, I think I have ones called the Juicing Bible or something.
There's a number
that give
of
you
them.
recipes
Yes.
and tell you what all that information that we won't remember.
Right.
But-
Right. Norman Walker was one that's very popular on fruit and vegetable juices. I probably have sold more of those than anything as long as I've been in the health food stores. And that's a book that some people would like to look up. I think it has great value there.
Yeah, and I think you wanted to mention a little bit about the Gerson
The
therapy
Gerson is,
program too.
and I again was looking at alternative treatments for people with advanced disease. I went to Mexico, and one of the places I went was the Gerson Clinic, and I saw a Norwalk juicer in a kitchen and all this produce, and there were the patients, and Hippocrates himself, the father of medicine, said, leave the drugs in the chemist's pots if you can heal your patients with food. And I have a beautiful picture of this that shows food encapsulated, kind of saying this is your medicine of the future. But she believed in of cleansing, and she believed in rebuilding the body. And so they would juice 13 times a day, 8 ounces basically on the hour, every hour. And it was one citrus, it was apple and carrot, it was a green drink, it's a carrot juice, it's more apple and carrot. And she always said to me, Danny, you don't want to oversaturate the cells.
Okay.
Give them juice, smaller amounts, consistently through the day so they're constantly getting nourished.
All right.
So that was very powerful information too.
Okay, Danny, in the last minute or so, talk to the viewers. Tell them what you want them to remember.
Well, what I want you to remember today is again, to be educated that juicing is a wonderful adjunct to eating a good diet and exercising and obeying all God's laws of health. And I think it's smart to invest in a juicer if you're going to use it. So use these juices in conjunction as added nutrition to you in a day when we're living with depleted soil and nutrient deficient food and pollution out there. Get another book, like I'm going to show a couple today. One was the Rawsome Recipes. It's also going to come with a DVD where this woman, the author, demonstrated live food cooking or uncooking at one of our health and healing crusades. It's a powerful presentation. And the second one was The Raw Gourmet by Nomi Shannon, and we'll show you how to get these later on in the show.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us today for Adventures in Health, and I know you won't want to miss next week's program, Natural Remedies for What Ails You.